Take two. Hello, everybody. This is Husband and Wife Sentenced to Life, the podcast about relationships, kids, marriage, London.
Yeah.
I'm Simon, the husband part of the title. You are?
Laura.
The
wife.
Part of the title. That's everybody on the staff.
Yeah.
It's nearly 11 now.
Mm-hmm.
It's nearly 11 a.m. on Friday, 23rd of February, 2024. 7 degrees outside. It's gone cold again.
Do you think?
Well, it went mild. It was in the 14, 15 degrees.
Was it? Oh my gosh.
The daffodils are out, which is beautiful.
That's early, isn't it? Aren't they a spring thing?
I wrote this in my diary today. I feel like I'm seeing spring for the first time because the last time I saw spring was 2004.
Is that to do with the amount of rain we've had?
I don't know how it works.
I don't.
The blossoms, you know them trees where they have all white on them? I don't know what kind of trees they are. I'm not very horticultural.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of them around in London.
They're pretty, those blossom trees, yeah.
Yeah, but I saw a woman a couple of weeks ago saying these shouldn't be out this early, global warming.
Oh, really?
Everything's messed up.
Oh, well, we know that.
But beautiful.
Yeah.
And then I noticed, what are the little flowers you see? They're either white or purple. You see them like daffodils on the side of the road.
Yeah.
They're not crocuses, are they?
No, I don't know the name, but I know the ones you mean. They're like in the middle of the grass.
They look like daffodils, but they're purple and white. They've started growing, and then I've been seeing daffodils around.
Well, I think I said that I didn't think it had been as cold, but the rain has been non-stop. It's been miserable. Crazy. I've not been able to pick up the dog poo because it's just mush.
But it's nearly the end of February.
I know.
It's gone so quick. I said on the last podcast, I hate people who say this about January, but it seems like 2 minutes ago since we recorded the last podcast, and that was the end of January podcast.
I know, it has gone quick. I wasn't going to be the one to say that.
I know. I have to apologise for the gap in podcasts. It's down to me being poorly.
Yes.
I have been... Well, you rate it, the poorliness.
Oh, well, whenever a man's poorly, it's always worse, and it's so hard being a wife of a poorly man.
But we've been together long enough now, and everybody knows who wears the pants in this relationship, that I feel guilty getting poorly. I hate getting poorly.
I don't think you do.
No, I do. And every day, this is how guilty I feel. I've not been to the doctors. I didn't go to the chemist when my throat was really bad at the beginning, when I should have gone to the chemist and got something stronger for it.
Because we've got a cupboard full of
stuff. No, but we don't.
Yeah.
And so I didn't take anything that I probably should have took for it. And therefore, I think it was drawn out, which is annoying for you, but it's even more annoying for the poorly one.
But it's funny because I thought about if I got this, which I'm amazed I haven't, how different my reaction to it would be.
We've not kissed for nearly a month.
Lucky you.
Yeah. Yeah. And before that, we're even longer.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it was. I thought it was COVID because my breathing was really bad. You know, I was really, every time we walked anywhere, every time we did anything, I know I was getting angry whenever we went out anywhere because I was really struggling to breathe. Thought it might have been flu because there was a lot of them symptoms, the fevers, the aching. Now I'm thinking, you're going to love this.
I know what you're going to say.
The 100-day cough.
I knew this was coming.
And I'll tell you for why. I've been hearing a lot about it. I am still coughing. I mean, last night, through the night, how many times did I wake you up coughing?
Yeah, it's getting better though.
Oh, the coughing's doing me nutting. I'm on the... Now that feels like a fake one. I've been on the verge of that for ages. So I've done some reading. Pertussis. Have you heard of this? You have heard of it, but you might not have heard that word. Pertussis.
Where is it?
Or the 100-day cough.
Oh, it's the name of that. Okay.
Or other names for whooping cough.
Yeah.
Now, whooping cough can be uncomfortable and last a long time. That's why it's called the 100-day cough.
Yeah.
Common
in kids.
After 1 to 2 weeks, the cold symptoms get better, but the cough gets worse. After 2 to 6 weeks, the cough begins to get better. So I think this is what I've got.
But no, because you didn't really have a cold.
The longer explanation of this was flu symptoms.
Right.
So I thought that's what it might have been, because I had all of that, didn't I? Really annoying.
Yeah. Do you know what the thing is, though? Like, whether it's COVID, whether it's flu, whether this time of year, so many people have stuff going on. We're going on tubes. You know, it's hard to, like, I almost like, there's no point sometimes putting a label on it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I just wish it's dragged on for so long. I wish I'd done something at the beginning and took something just to get rid of it. But anyway, here we are. So apologies for the, like, it's right on my throat now, you know, like I breathe in too fast, I want to cough. I think I'm going to have to... I apologise. But it's there, you know. So let's move on to London. First thing, we went to see Richard Herring's Leicester Square Theatre podcast. Rahulustapa, as they all shout in it, the nerds.
What is it they shout?
It's the initials, Rahulustapa. Like we have Hostel.
Yeah.
He has Richard Herring's Leicester Square Theatre podcast. So every time he says Rahulustapa, everyone shouts it back like Cracker Jack.
Oh my God, I found that so annoying.
I knew before we even went to Richard Herring that you were going to come out saying certain things were annoying about it, because you need to be into him. You need to have listened to loads of him.
Yeah. And
when you first hear it, you're like, oh, bollocks to this.
I have listened to some of his podcasts, and I don't know. It's one of my things when people become too familiar with, like...
Well, I tried to tell you this when we went in.
Yeah.
Because I've listened to that many. He interacts with the audience and he knows them by name.
Knows them by name, yeah. And
that's because they're all regulars.
And he directly looks at you, like a couple of times. Did you notice
I noticed him looking at you, yeah.
No, but he did, didn't he? Like,
I did.
There was a couple, and I was just like, and we were in the front row, which I'd totally forgotten about.
Which I didn't know about. Now, here's the thing. We almost didn't go. Because I was poorly, and I was poorly at that point, I didn't want to go.
We weren't going, were we, that day?
When they announced the guests, which we'll mention in a minute, that made me want to go even less.
Yeah.
Right? Because he has some great... He's had Richard E. Grant on. He's had Bob Mortimer on. He's had Vic Reeves on.
Yeah.
He's had people I love on there, right? Most of the time, I don't mind who he has on when I'm listening to him as podcast, but do I want to pay to go and see him?
Yeah, and we'd already had the tickets. We didn't know who the guests were going to be, and like you said, they weren't people we were particularly bothered about.
Right.
So
I didn't want to go.
Yeah.
We had to leave the house at about 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
About 5:30, like we'd been bickering about it. Well, sell the tickets, give them away, give them to your cousin, whatever. And at the last minute, I kind of thought, you've paid about 30 quid a ticket here, 60 quid. I'm not just writing that off. We're going to go.
Yeah.
This is half an hour before we had to leave the house.
Mm-hmm.
Off you disappeared upstairs. I'll let you tell the story from here.
Oh, I was thinking, what did I do? Oh, goodness. Well, I've wanted to cut my fringe for a while. We know that I...
Alarm bells ringing already.
We know that I went for a little bit of red in my hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, normally I do it a little bit at a time because...
Always to be advised.
Yeah.
Well, the first thing to be advised is don't cut your own fringe.
No, but I've been doing it on and off for a while since COVID.
You are good at it. I'll give you that. You are good at it.
Yeah, and I cut the kids' hair and...
This is another reason we couldn't do the video aspect to this podcast any sooner than now.
I can't believe we're still doing it yet. Anyway.
Do you know, it's nice though, because it's like a flashback to the COVID graphs, your fringe, seeing it go up and down.
It's not even the jagginess that I'm bothered about. It's the fact that for some reason, I just did that thing where you go like that with your fingers. You know, when you...
What hairdressers do.
Scissors with your fingers. And then just did a like chop. And normally I don't do that. Normally I get the comb, little bit. Then I think, oh yeah, I can take a little bit more. I must have taken about 2 inches off in one go. And I was already halfway across and I knew, but I can't stop halfway across. No. You didn't hear me scream. I didn't react. I was stunned. I just looked at myself.
There was a moment.
Yeah.
Because Betsy went, Daddy, Mummy needs you, Daddy. And then you were like, Simon.
No, this was all after.
You didn't say you're going to be mad at me. What did you say? You said something. The insinuation from downstairs. Yeah. I'm just sitting downstairs, like trying to will myself to go out. And I thought, oh, she's bloody broke something of mine. Because the tone of your voice and the shock in Betsy's voice, I thought, this is something that's going to directly impact me. You know what I mean? I thought something's happened here that I am going to be very unhappy about. So I'm waiting to hear. I'm like, you've knocked me expensive toothbrush off and broke it. I don't know, something's been broken.
Yeah. And
the next thing, you're coming downstairs.
And you said, what have you done? And then I showed you my hair.
Well, because as you come downstairs, we've got the staircases in the living room. I can see your feet first. So it's like a slow reveal. Now, but at this point, I still have no idea because you've not said what it is. So you come down. So I'm waiting for you to, as your legs appear, fine. Your hands appear. You're not holding anything of mine broken in pieces. Fine. What could it possibly be?
Oh, my
Then your head
goodness.
appears.
Oh. And at that point, I hadn't, like, it was freshly dried, so it was quite fluffy still, so it was
Yeah.
even shorter. Oh, my goodness. I sent a picture to Honey. She was like, "You can't go out. You're gonna have to pin it back."
Well, then you pinned it back, and I'm like,
No.
nope,
Yeah. So
because you look like Dave Hill out of Slade. Reference for the kids. Google what his Dave Hill out of Slade is. The one, I think he plays the bass in Slade. He's got a fringe. It's about where my hairline is.
oh, I just, like, and we very rarely go out, and then, like, to find out we're in the front row and I've got this dodgy fringe, and but anyway.
At a comedian's gig.
And I was waiting for it. I was waiting for something about my fringe, like I was thinking, I'm just going to have to own it.
Well, I'll say this about it, right? What you see in London, and like sort of not far from where we live, like when 10 minutes down the road, you get to Hackney
Yeah.
and places like that. You see they used to be called hipsters. They're really trendy types.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of girls who go for this fringe that looks like it's been cut by your mum in a rush.
Yeah.
Somewhere, I mean, they can be even higher, but somewhere between the eyebrows and the scalp. So like about there.
Yeah, the really short fringe.
It's really off-putting to look
I
at.
don't like the really short fringe.
But you see it on trendy girls.
Yeah, or they're like the very straight and then the step down and a bit more.
Yeah.
That's a weird one as well.
If you want to be anywhere with a dodgy fringe, it's London, because you can pass it off as being an expensive haircut. I
Yeah,
think.
normally I have mine quite long. Like, people say mine's a bit like Claudia's. Although I say
You get compared to
Claudia's
Claudia.
is like
Well,
mine,
yeah,
but,
yeah. Anyway, I've got to be honest. The first look, it looked like Darth Vader's helmet. I don't know how to describe it. It was very disconcerting, because your fringe is amazing, by the way. I love it. I'm the biggest fan of the fringe.
Cool.
You've got a terrible forehead, but great fringe. By the time we went out,
Yeah.
I was over it,
Yeah.
and it stopped freaking me out.
Okay.
So on to the gig.
Yeah.
Now, this is who we had on that night. It's Richard Herring, the comedian. And I've been looking forward to it because I've listened to his podcast for 10
and we
years
loved,
longer.
as we mentioned previously when we went to see
Great theatre.
Ricky
Gervais.
Yeah, we love Leicester Square Theatre.
So we'd got Rosie Jones and Ed Gamble.
Yeah.
Now, both big names now. So it's a big name night.
Yeah.
Ed Gamble, of course, he does the Off Menu podcast with James Acaster. He does Traitors Uncloaked straight after Traitors. So we've been seeing a bit of him. I got to be honest.
I like him, but
he's not.
He's not one of my favourite comedians.
He's not somebody whose stand-up show I'd be buying tickets to. And there's no offence, because he seems like a lovely guy as well. Rosie Jones, now she's very controversial because she's got, is it cerebral palsy she's got?
Yeah.
And she's everywhere at the minute. She jokes about this a lot. She's all over the place. The BBC love her.
Yeah, she's doing a tour at the minute called Triple Threat because she's got cerebral palsy, so she's part of the disabled group. She's also gay, which I didn't know.
Yeah.
So she's part of that group. So she's, and then she said she's a CUNT. So that was her words, not mine.
It was a great interview, that, because I don't think she's somebody we've been bothered about. I've had people actually say to me, I just don't think she's funny.
Well, the thing is, we've always seen her on panel shows.
Yeah.
And
she was on the Big Fat Quiz this Christmas.
Yeah, and I think the thing is, when you're on a panel show, you don't necessarily get to see the real comedian because obviously you're competing with other people. And because of her cerebral palsy, sometimes, other people get in with their jokes before her. And I think, so sometimes she gets a little bit left behind in that way.
Well, comedy's a fast game.
Yeah.
And she was on the Royal Variety Performance. Mm-hmm. She came out and did 5 minutes on that. Anyway, I'm not going to say this interview changed my opinion on her, because I didn't have a bad opinion on her.
Yeah.
She gets so much stick, by the way.
Yeah.
She trends. Every time she's on anything, she trends for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
Right? So it didn't change my opinion on her, but it made me love her a whole lot more.
She was so funny.
Oh my God, laugh out loud funny.
Yeah, she was really funny.
I don't know why we're saying it like, it's not a surprise because she's a comedian, but She was funnier in person than I've ever seen her on the television.
But like we had said, we wouldn't have gone to see her. She's just not one of the comedians, that was our cup of tea. But I actually, my dad said, well, would you pay to go and see her? And I possibly would. I possibly would.
I think I would.
She was that funny, and she's really interesting. She's really clever. Like the books that she's written.
Didn't even know about the books.
No, and such great books. She's writing them. She said, imagine growing up with cerebral palsy, being a teenager, cerebral palsy, fancying girls. She said, like, life was tough. No, there was no books that were written, about someone like her.
Yeah, well, we both came away saying we wanted Betsy Pearl to read her books because she's writing about an 11-year-old girl. So anyway, I thought both of them were great night out.
Yeah, really good, really good.
What else have we done? We went to see Everybody's Talking About Jamie.
Yeah, it's Sheffield.
Well, it's based in Sheffield, isn't it?
Yeah, well, and it's based on a
true story.
True story. It's about a guy called Jamie, and
wants to be a drag queen. No spoilers. I think everybody knows the story.
And it's been around for quite a while now. This is not a new musical.
Did they make it into a film? It was a film, right? It's had what's her name in Sarah Lancashire.
It's been made into a film. There is a documentary on him as well. It is a really interesting story. It's, but I've known these songs from this musical because Betsy's done a few exams and stuff using some of the songs. I think they're great songs. It's one of those musicals that's been written for the supposedly working class people in mind. Like we've talked about this before, how musicals can be a bit pretentious and stuff like that. So that was the idea of the songs in this musical, and I think it does have that feel, and a bit like Blood Brothers. It's got a more relaxed feel about it.
I think the word you're looking for is northern.
No.
Well, both of them you're talking about.
They are. Yes, they are.
Yeah.
But that's not that. Genuinely, that's not what I think. It's not.
Well, it's northern though.
No, it is northern. But that's you trying to make me say that I'm putting that down.
You
and
said
I'm not.
working class.
No, that's what the writer has said. He wrote it with working class.
I mean, it wouldn't have worked with your Hampshire accent. Imagine that. There's Jamie, want to be a drag queen? It wouldn't work, would it?
Well, I mean, come on. Some of the accents were like not.
The accents weren't. They were all right.
Look after your sen.
When they tried to do the Yorkshire too much.
Yeah.
But anyway, I didn't mind it. I thought it was good.
It was great and
emotional.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm terrified about it because there's a lot of it. The second half are done in a very high pair of heels. What are they called? The platform heels, but also stiletto. I don't know what the name is for them, but it's like a 7-inch spike on the back and then a big chunk on the front.
And they were
like
doing
half
some
a loaf
kicks
of bread.
and all sorts.
I know.
No, really great. Lovely theatre, and we went to the stage door on the way out because Betsy wanted to. And
I hate doing that.
I know you do.
That gives me the ick.
That gives you the ick. It's something I used to do as a kid, and it was one where you have to walk past it, and there was, 20 people there. So we did that. Betsy got to meet Jamie, so she was all happy.
All right, let's move on to, very quickly, the kids.
It was Leo's 21st last week.
On Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
So what is it now? Friday, so just under a week ago.
Greg alert. Greg had messaged me and said he thinks those kinds of birthdays are bigger deals for parents. I had quite a few messages from people, actually.
Yeah.
Who I didn't expect to get messages from, who were, I think almost, they felt that emotion for us because I think it is a big deal as a parent. I think the 21st, I mean, leading up to it, I've felt upset for a couple of weeks leading up to it. It's a hard thing to get your head around because I feel like that's it.
That's the last big one.
Yeah, and I know you have your 18th and everything, but I think the 21st feels like that's coming. If they go to uni, that's the end of uni. That's when their adult life really starts, I think. And you found it difficult on the actual day, I think. I think the entire time since we've been back in London, I've watched you struggle with how Leo and Honey are now. I mean, Honey less so, but still in this ballpark of becoming adults and pulling away from us. Not pulling away in a negative way or anything like that, but it's just what they do. And of course, we've witnessed this as we can talk about it as what we did with our parents, and you don't think, oh, it's just a thing, innit? But when you're the parent, and especially the mums will struggle with this a lot more. There's an advert, isn't there? There's actually an
the NSPCC one, yeah.
Which genuinely I relate to, where it's like it's counselling for parents going through this.
So I know a lot of people listen to this podcast who've got kids because they listened when we were taking Leo to uni a few years ago, and it's something that's coming for all of you. And I said it to Greg because his kids are younger than ours, and I was saying, you know, like you don't realise when they're that age that this day's coming.
Yeah.
You notice it when they don't live with you anymore, because when they don't live with you anymore, when they're in the house, they're ignoring you. They're in the bedroom. They're playing with their mates. But they're still there. You're still feeding them 3 times a day.
Yeah.
You are still having to go around and clean all this shit up, right? You're still having to do all that stuff.
They're still annoying you.
But they're here.
Yeah. They still need you.
When they're not here, you don't think about them any less, but they don't call you. They don't stay in touch. They don't do any of that, right?
Yeah, I think perhaps girls less so, because Honey messages me every day. She calls probably 3-4 times a week. So she actually does. I think girls tend to talk to their mums a bit more. But I think boys kind of step away because there's a saying, isn't there? Is it something about, you know, girls they look for your life, but boys are your sons.
It's a catchy saying so far.
Sorry, boys. I can't remember it, but boys are your sons until they meet a wife. You know, it's that kind of.
Oh, I mean that almost rhymes now. So we're getting towards a
So
saying.
basically, what it's saying is your daughters will always be your daughters. They'll always come back to you, whereas sons, once they've got their new life,
a woman.
Yeah, then that becomes their life, which is kind of true in a lot of ways.
Yeah. But Leo's not the best anyway at
No.
communication.
Oh gosh, he's the worst.
But it's so hard as the husband, as the dad,
Yeah.
because you see it from a slightly different perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
I see you, and like a couple of weeks, you were talking about what to do for his 21st. Not that you've only just started talking about it, but in earnest, you're talking about things like, let's book a holiday somewhere, let's do this. And I'm sort of trying to gently say to you, because I know that it'll come back on me if I say the wrong thing. But I'm trying to sort of gently say to you, he doesn't want to do this stuff anymore. Don't take it.
But that's not true, because me and him had a discussion about doing stuff like this, and he actually was really up for it. But I think you think that I don't realise that I'm actually quite cool with him not wanting to do stuff with us. I get that side of it.
Yeah, but like since we've been back, I learned very early on with Leo that you can't rely on him to turn up, right?
Yeah. Well, he was meant to be arriving this weekend, and I don't think he's coming.
No, tomorrow he's supposed to be coming. He's not cancelled his work day tomorrow, so he's not going to come, right? If he does, great, but I don't think he's going to come. Mm-hmm. And he's done this now probably over 10 times since September.
Yeah, well, I think that's probably part of it, because as we know, I've struggled moving back anyway.
Yeah.
I've found it really hard to settle. And I think one of the perks of coming back for me was that I wasn't going to be in another country to Leo and Honey, because, you know, it was really difficult for me being away from Leo. Well, for both of us, living away from Leo, being in another country. So I thought we'll see a lot more of him. And actually, I feel like we've seen less, because when we lived in Dubai, he had to come for a week or 2 at a time. So we still saw him for those chunks. Whereas now...
Well, it's even felt like when he's here, his head's not here.
Yeah, and, you know, he's in his final year, but...
After the first couple of times it happened, and it happened coming up to my birthday, and I'm like, don't make him promise he's going to come back for my birthday. And he promised he was coming back for my birthday, and I'm like, he'd done it a couple of times by then. I'm like, look, I'm not building my hopes up.
Yeah.
And so I think my skin grew thicker earlier than yours. Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
And that's why, like, this weekend, I'm like, I'm not buying tickets for anything. I'm not planning anything.
No, and I didn't get my hopes up about this weekend. If anything, I just want to know yes or no if you're coming, because we can't plan around what we're doing. Yeah. You know, and
but it's sad.
Also Betsy, because Betsy gets so excited. Yeah. But
it's sad because it's his 21st.
Yeah.
And now, whatever we do, it's not going to be his 21st.
Yeah.
So if he comes this weekend, it's not his 21st. Mm-hmm. If we go for a weekend away somewhere in the summer, it's not his 21st. So I feel like we've missed his 21st.
Yeah, you know, and it was emotional for us both writing his card. And then I guess on the actual day, I don't know. You never, like you say, you're never going to do that again. You're never going to get his 21st back.
No.
So it's...
And now I don't think we'll ever do a birthday. You know, like...
In the same way, yeah.
In the same way. Well, you never... Like I said that, I think I said it to him, I wish it was his 10th birthday. Because there's he's excited. And he's definitely not excited to do anything with us. He might have been excited to be doing whatever he was doing with his girlfriend, whatever. But... Yeah, I don't know. It's just really difficult to watch you go through that. You know, because at the same time that was happening, there was a very similar thing happening with Honey with regards to something that you guys were going to do together. So I had to watch you go through that happening as well. And it was a bit like, it's so hard as your partner to see that disappointment in you and see you hurting like that, because you can't. It's not fair to say to the kids, "Hey, think about everything she's done for you. Come on, it's not a big." No, that's what I'm saying. It's not fair.
No, it's.
But as your partner, obviously, anything that hurts you hurts me.
I think I had mentioned a while ago when I talked to your Auntie Stella that you, as mums, once you become a mum, that's what you become, and you do like that. Everything you do is about your kids, and I'm not saying that it's not for you. I just think mums have a different emotional attachment to children, and in a different way. And I feel like, you know, we don't stop. You know, we're constantly like, what homework have you got to do? What food have you eaten today? How much have you had to drink? You know, it's constant, and that doesn't stop just because they're not here. So, you know, and I find that I'm battling with having to, sometimes, you know, they need my attention, but also I need their attention.
See, they don't get that.
Yeah.
They don't understand. It's all one-way traffic. And this is nothing to do with our kids being selfish or anything like that. I think it's all kids. When they're at this age, it's one-way traffic. They just want to know, they want you to know. You are a bit player in their story, right? And so they're calling you up to tell you everything they're doing, but they're not concerned with how you're feeling, how you're getting on, what you're doing, and you're not a real human to them. You know, like in that way, you don't exist in that way. And I know it because I've got parents. You know, it's just what happens, isn't it? Hopefully, what happened to me is it took me till getting to me early to mid-20s. That's when I've talked about this before. That's when the big realization was of everything they've done for me and all of that. And that's how, you know, I used to make an effort on my birthday every year, wherever I was, I'd go and see my mum. Didn't matter who I was in a relationship with, where I was living, whatever. I made the effort to go and spend the day with my mum. Go and have a meal, go to town, let her buy me something, go to cinema, whatever. And it always felt really nice. And I miss doing that, you know, because it just felt like a nice thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know when or if it's going to happen. I feel like you deserve that. You know, it's just really hard, isn't it, at this point?
Yeah, it is. And you know, it does. You're not prepared.
It's not fair that they only come when they need you. I know that's nice for you in a way. So when Honey has a bit of heartbreak, you're there.
Yeah.
When Leo's going through anything stressful, you're there. You know, but it's not fair that you don't get to have the normal time. Because when they're living here, of course, even when they're teenagers and it's weird and they're grumpy and stuff, they're there for it all. You'll sit and watch telly together. You'll go to places together. You'll go for meals together, things like that. So that normal time's gone. So it's almost like only extremes now, isn't it? You only get them when they're going through something shitty. When Honey was really poorly in the last episode, of course, which brilliant, we'll always be there for. When she's going through stuff with boys, when college is going bad. Same with Leo.
Yeah.
God, that got heavier than I thought. I literally thought we were just going to say it was Leo's 21st. In the kids section.
Well, no, but it's worth talking about because I think a lot of people go through it and a lot of people don't know it's coming. So.
I'll tell you what, let's leave this one here. Let's just do a couple of reviews
at
the end.
Okay.
And we'll wrap this one up. So
Okay.
it's not dragging on for an hour.
Well, okay, if we're going to talk about reviews, this is pretty much related to the discussion we've just had. We watched All of Us Strangers with Paul Mescal and
Andrew Scott.
Andrew Scott. For me, film of the year. I don't know, like for you it's not.
I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very moving film. It's a very emotional film. It makes you think about a lot of things, even though you might not be in their situations at all.
Yeah.
Look, I want to say this at the beginning of this. Spoiler alert. So if you've not seen this, and if you've not seen One Day, which we're going to talk about in a little while, spoiler alert, because I want to talk about them.
Okay.
Yeah? So switch off here.
Okay.
The links for the trailers will be in the description of the podcast. Switch off here if you've not seen, or if you don't think you're going to watch them, fair enough. So All of Us Strangers.
Yeah.
Right, you've had your spoiler alert. It's about a man whose parents died when he was
Young, yeah.
a boy.
Yeah.
They both died in a car crash at the same time. And he is living a kind of a solitary life. It's very strange, ethereal. He's living in this block of flats that nobody else lives in.
Yeah.
Apart from, that's Andrew Scott, apart from Paul Mescal, who he knocks on his door one night and they,
They connect.
They connect.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen that night.
Yeah.
Then things get really strange.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know what genre to put it in this film.
Well, to me, it felt like watching a play. It felt like
Yeah.
we were watching a play. It was so well acted by. I mean, there was
Everyone
really
was great.
four main.
Claire Foy, the
Yeah.
Queen, Jamie Bell, the ballet dancer.
Bell as well. He deserves a mention. He was brilliant.
He's something about Jamie Bell because I never saw the Billy Elliot film,
Yeah.
but I've seen him in a lot of things since. He was in that one Actresses Don't Die in Liverpool with Annette Bening, I think it was. The
Okay.
true story about that old Hollywood actress.
Yes. Yeah.
He's great in everything I've seen him in.
Yeah. There's a scene between Jamie Bell and Andrew Scott with playing dad and son, and it was probably the best scene in the film. But it was so like the emotions that they both brought out looked real.
Yeah.
They were so raw and just the whole way through. And I think the way I was feeling at the point where we watched it, I had all those emotions about Leo and his 21st, and there was scenes with Claire Foy playing the mum and him, and things that she was saying, like, I hope I've been a good mum.
Yeah.
So it.
See, knowing how this would be affecting you kind of spoiled the film for me.
Really?
I was on, yeah, because I was on tenterhooks because I knew it was going to really upset you. I know what your triggers are.
Yeah.
So even when you're in a good place with the kids.
But the thing is, it was a film I really wanted to see because we both love Paul Mescal.
Yeah.
You loved him in After Sun. We both loved that film, but
Yeah.
so the way After Sun affected you, you've said you can't watch that film again because it affected you so much.
Oh, amazing.
And I think that's the way this film affected me. I don't know if I can watch All of Us Strangers again, even though it's, I think, my favourite film of the year.
I might be. There's a bit of me that wants to watch it again because it leaves so many questions.
So many questions, and we both read up about it, but it's not questions in a way of they've done it wrong. It's questions in the way of you take from it what you want to take from it. And it's clever.
It's heartbreaking.
It's a really, it's a sad film, and it's but really thought provoking. I think, but
we've not actually given away that many spoilers yet. So what I would say is, if you've not seen it, see it.
Yeah, I'm gutted. I'm gutted that they've not been up for more nominations for Oscars and BAFTAs. Like Andrew Scott, even though Paul Mescal is one of my favourite actors, Andrew Scott deserved Best Actor.
I feel like Andrew Scott acts him off the screen in this.
Yeah,
I love him.
He had the better role, but Andrew Scott was brilliant.
So that's All of Us Strangers. Sticking with a romantic, tragic theme.
Yeah.
Is One Day. Now, this is everywhere at the minute. So if you've not seen it, again, spoiler alert, because I need to talk about it.
It's. I don't know why it's on my Instagram. Like, just I keep getting ads for it.
I had Zoe Ball on this morning driving Betsy Pearl to school. And it was the Friends Round Friday one. They had Josh Widdicombe, Michael McIntyre, Keely Hawes, and they talked about it on that.
Right.
And about how massive it is.
Yeah.
And they were going on about the book. I totally missed the book back in the day because it sounds like the kind of thing I'd have read. So it was huge back then. It was a film with
Anne Hathaway. I think.
Anne Hathaway,
Yeah.
who I actually quite like Anne Hathaway. And I've watched trailers for it since, and it looks like really good. It looks like they've copied quite a bit of it.
Yeah, well, they've said that this is better than the film, though.
It's a book about a posh boy and a girl who's not posh, a northern girl. Obviously, that's the dividing line here. Posh southerner, working class northerner, who meet on the last day of university on St Swithin's Day in Edinburgh at the sort of final ball thing, spend the night together. And then it's about that day every year.
For 22 years?
Something like that, for the next 20 years or so. And how their relationships intertwine as they come and go, have different jobs, have different boyfriends, things like that, girlfriends, are at different stages in their life.
Yeah.
How they need each other. We watched 9 episodes in one sitting.
Yeah.
I think it's 14 episodes.
Yeah.
We watched 9 in one sitting. And I'm like, ugh. First of all, it's all a bit obvious.
Yeah. Well, it took us about maybe 5 episodes to get into it, really.
Almost switched it off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think after the first one, you weren't that bothered about moving on.
Yeah.
So I'm like, no. There's not this many people talking about it for nothing.
Yeah.
So, stuck with it. Watched 9 episodes in the first night. And even at that point, I'm like, it's really obvious.
Yeah.
But let's just... And I said to you at that point, I don't want them to get together.
Yeah.
Because I think he's a bit of a shit, the entire film, the entire book, premise, whatever. I don't like him.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the actor, but I'm like, I
Yeah.
just don't like the guy. You know, I know he's going through his things and everything.
Well, it's funny because I don't know. I think, again, but I love her as an actress. I think he's a good actor. I don't know if they were the right casting. I genuinely don't think they were the right casting for it.
I think it's not until probably the penultimate episode when big stuff starts happening.
Yeah.
Then they're together and it seems like it's perfect. She's a writer. He's got his own cafe. It's almost, and I'm like, oh God, this is too sickly sweet.
Yeah.
And then she gets killed.
Yeah.
How are they wrapping this up then?
Yeah.
And then that and the last episode, I thought were brilliant.
Yes. Because again, I think the best scenes were the ones between him and his dad.
I tell you, who I thought was great in it was the kid who played the stand-up comedian. He was her first proper boyfriend. She ended up living with him.
Yeah.
No, I don't think they were married, were they? They weren't married.
No.
But he was a real pathetic character. And the way he came back towards the end and what he said was really moving.
Yeah.
And I thought he played a great part.
He did. I thought it was good. I didn't love it. I can't quite understand why there's this big hype around it. Like,
oh, well, I think it's because of that ending. I think them last 2 episodes.
Yeah, they were good. They were good. But I heard people compare it to Normal People, which was Paul Mescal as well. I think Normal People was another level compared to that.
I'm going to watch that with you because I know you want to watch it again anyway. I was dying at the time, so I didn't get to watch it. I got to hear it.
Normal People is very rude.
Well, I don't know because you watched that and Bridgerton whilst I was dying of COVID. And so all I remember in these fevered nights, this is in the post-hospital, so I'd come out of ICU and everything. And then I was bedridden for 2-3 months after. But I had this really bad fever.
Yeah.
And all I remember is thinking, she's watching a lot of porn while I'm this poorly.
Oh, my God.
Because all I could hear was sex noises the entire time. And you said it was, what's it called? Normal People.
Yeah.
And Bridgerton.
Well,
and I'm like, what are these programs? Because it's just non-stop shagging.
Normal People like to keep turning down because it did feel a bit like that at times. A bit too much of that, if I'm honest. But I think I'm a sucker for brilliant acting, and that both the leads in that were brilliant.
You sound a bit like them, like the fellas who say they read Playboy for the articles.
No, I actually felt uncomfortable in some of those scenes, and this didn't have that, which I'm pleased about. That there wasn't, because there was moments where they could have had really graphic sex scenes, but they didn't have that. It was more about the story behind it. So I'm pleased they didn't do that. I don't know. It was good. I don't know if it's as good as the hype.
I think they whip the rug out from under. If you stay with it, it's worth it.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Yeah.
Because when they whip the rug out from under your feet, it's a punch to the stomach. You can kind of see it coming, but it's a punch to the stomach.
Yeah.
That last episode is so well done, so emotional. They bring all these people back, and it's so emotional. It's brilliantly done. And the end in Edinburgh, where it comes full circle at the end, when they on the Arthur's seat, it's one of those again. I think this is the thing with After Sun, with All of Us Strangers, with this One Day, is because it's got that human element and that loss.
Yeah.
It leaves you asking so many questions.
Yeah.
And comparing so many things to your real life.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
It wasn't their relationship for me that made me fall in love with it. It was that thing of the realistic element of these things that happen in life like that, the losses, the questions you're left with, the never being able to say the things you should say, all of them sort of things. And yeah, I think it's worth watching.
Oh, it is definitely worth a watch.
But it takes a long while to get there. So we'll leave this one here.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot to say what episode it is. I don't even know, but you'll see that on the title of the podcast. So quite serious.
This one went a bit emotional.
But that's going to happen sometimes.
Yeah.
Especially with me 100-day whooping cough. Stroke COVID, stroke flu.
Whooping cough.
Whooping cough.
Yes.
It's hard to say with this as well. See you next time, everybody.
Bye.